They said the Flame Empire was unbeatable, that its queen, Empress Valsira, could burn moons to ash with a single command. Her fleets carved bloody trails across the stars, but no weapon of hers inspired more fear than the living war machine they called Zar-Rak, the Dragon of Oblivion. Grown in secret beneath the storm world of Vexaris, Zar-Rak was a fusion of living tissue and dark matter alloys. It moved like a predator, but fought like a starship. Every planet that had seen it descend from orbit remembered only fire and shadows, and it bowed only to her. Or so everyone believed, until the day a human girl changed everything. Leah Hart was not a soldier, not a spy, not a diplomat. She was a 23-year-old ethnobotanist from a mid-tier Earth university, fresh into her postgrad placement on Station Kepler 186G, a small xenobiology outpost orbiting the jungle moon of Valmyra. Her specialty was fungus, glowing, spore-spitting plants that hummed in ultrasonic frequencies. She wore oversized glasses, drank too much tea, and carried a field tablet covered in cat stickers. The other researchers called her Mushroom Girl. She didn't mind. She was happy being invisible. Until the Empress arrived. It was supposed to be a routine imperial inspection. The station was within the outermost fringe of the Flame Empire's growing sphere of influence, and humans had signed a delicate peace. But when the Imperial dreadnought Ashbourne tore a hole in the sky above Kepler 186G, no one mistook it for diplomacy. Leah stood in the observation dome as the fire-red ship descended through the clouds. It blotted out the twin suns. Imperial guards in black-red armor disembarked like a wave of knives, followed by the Empress herself, tall, horned, radiant with psionic power that made the station's systems flicker. Behind her, thunder rumbled. And then it landed. The dragon, Zar-Rak. Even through the reinforced dome, the heat from the beast was suffocating. Its wings stretched wider than the hangar bays. Eyes like twin novas stared down at the gathered crew. Its claws clicked on the metal deck like tectonic plates shifting. One researcher screamed, another collapsed. Leah stayed frozen, not from fear, but because Zar-Rak was looking at her. Not at the Empress, not at the guards, at her. It tilted its massive head, sniffed the air, took one step forward, then another. Panic erupted around her, alarms, shouts, scrambling feet. But Leah couldn't move. Not when something in the dragon's gaze wasn't rage, but recognition. And then, impossibly, horrifyingly, the dragon lowered its head and made a low, chuffing rumble. A sound like a purr. The guards pointed weapons. The Empress stepped forward, eyes glowing with fury. "Back!" she commanded. The dragon ignored her. Instead, it laid down at Leah's feet, tail curled, wings folded neatly, and stared up at her with a devotion that no one in the galaxy had ever seen from a war beast. Silence fell. And in that moment, Leah Hart, mushroom-loving nerd from Earth, became the most dangerous human in the galaxy. Silence hung in the docking bay like the weight of gravity itself. Zar-Rak, the dragon of oblivion, the Empress's living weapon, lay curled protectively around a girl who still had mushroom spores on her boots. Leah didn't understand what had just happened. Her heart thundered, her breath came in quick gasps. She felt like she'd stepped into a dream, or maybe a nightmare. "Is this a trick?" the Empress demanded, voice cold and razor-sharp. Her eyes glowed with telepathic fire as she took a step forward, each motion radiating regal fury. "I asked a question." Leah's lips parted, but no sound came out. What could she say? She looked up at the dragon. Zar-Rak was still watching her, not with hunger or violence, but with calm attentiveness, as though waiting for her next move. A low hum pulsed from its throat. Soothing. Almost maternal. The guards shifted nervously, weapons still trained on the beast, but no one dared fire. Then, click. Leah's tablet, still hanging from her neck, blinked to life. A soft scan notification flashed. Life form recognized. Genetic signal match found. Origin, Valmira Flora System. Leah's eyes widened. Valmira, the jungle moon, where she'd collected those strange red spores 2 months ago, spores she'd kept in her personal grow lab. She remembered jokingly naming them Dragon Bloom because they emitted bursts of infrared heat. Now her hands shook. She whispered, mostly to herself, "No way." It imprinted. "What did you say?" the Empress asked sharply. I think this dragon recognizes my scent from the spores. I've been working with a fungal species that shares biochemical traits with your bioweapon's neural bonding matrix. That must be why it, thinks I'm its mother?" The words sounded absurd even to her, but the evidence lay purring at her feet. The Empress didn't move. Her expression was unreadable now, not rage, but something deeper. Calculation. Fear, perhaps. Not of Leah, but of what it meant that Zarrak had chosen her over its creator. The Empress spoke in ancient high tongue, barely audible. "Unleash it," she ordered. The guards faltered. "Your Majesty?" "I said unleash it." They obeyed. Restraints disengaged with hydraulic hisses. The bay's magnetic containment shields dropped. Zarrak didn't move. "Attack!" the Empress commanded, pointing at Leah. Still, the dragon remained still. Then, slowly, it uncoiled, not in aggression, but to nuzzle Leah gently with its snout, like a kitten. The silence broke as Leah let out a nervous laugh. "I don't think it wants to attack me." And then Zarrak did something that made the entire room forget how to breathe. It spoke, a deep, guttural voice, synthesized through layered biovox membranes, echoed through the hangar. "Mother! Safe! Protect!" Leah stumbled back, nearly fainting. One of the guards dropped his rifle. Another crossed himself in his native dialect. Zarrak, living terror of the stars, had just spoken its first words. And they were for her. Back on Earth, Leah had always felt invisible. She was never the smartest in her class, never the most social, never the loudest voice in the room. But now she was bonded to a creature that had glassed planets. The Empress said nothing. Her eyes narrowed. "This isn't over." She turned, her cloak snapping like flame, and marched out. The guards followed, though many looked back at Leah as if unsure whom to fear more now. As the hangar cleared, Leah sat down on the floor, her knees weak. Zarrak curled protectively around her once again, warm and still humming. Her field tablet buzzed. Incoming message. Unauthorized breach detected. Transmission intercepted. Message. Human. We are watching. Keep the beast close, or we'll take it from you. Federation Intelligence Corps. Leah stared at the screen. What had she gotten herself into? The Federation didn't waste time. By the third solar rotation, Leah was no longer a mere xenobotanist from Earth's fringe colonies. She was a target. Every intelligence network from here to the Black Haze Nebula had eyes on her, watching, waiting, calculating. And the creature at her side, Zarrak, the Empress's living weapon, the Dragon of Oblivion, was no longer a legend. It was proof that something ancient, something forbidden, had awakened. They fled. Zarrak carried her across dead moons and shattered asteroids, its wings stirring trails of plasma through void. It moved without engines, without sound, just dark fire and will. Leah had hidden inside its armored bio-shell, her body wrapped in synthetic blankets, fingers trembling as she typed coordinates into the small neural pad embedded near its neck. She didn't understand the full truth yet, but she knew one thing. If the Empress and the Federation both wanted this bond broken, it wasn't for peace. It was for power. And something was terribly wrong with the way the stars had begun to whisper. Literally. Leah first heard them while orbiting the twilight world of Virel 9. Radio bands picked up low-frequency signals in patterns too precise to be random and too old. The language, unknown. Yet when she fell asleep, she dreamed in it. Zar-Rak seemed to understand. It would growl softly, shielding her in its coils when the whispers grew louder. The bond between them deepened, not just through biochemistry, but thought. She began to sense what Zar-Rak felt: heat, danger, even vague emotions, concern, restlessness, something she could only describe as yearning. And then came the bounty hunters. They didn't announce themselves. They just dropped out of warp space like shadows with teeth. 7 ships, cloaked, silent, lethal. The first strike came while she was repairing an oxygen unit on an abandoned research vessel in orbit over the methane giant, Drythal. She heard the metal groan, felt the air shift. Then Zar-Rak roared. The void cracked. A burst of blue inferno shot from its maw, melting 2 ships before they could arm themselves. But these hunters weren't fools. They dropped sonic javelins laced with null metal, a weapon designed to interfere with organic neurosymbiosis. Zar-Rak screeched, convulsing mid-space. Leah screamed. She felt its pain as if it were hers. She crawled across the shattered lab deck, yanked the manual override from her tablet, and screamed into the input port. "Override! Safe mode! Follow Pulse Beacon 7! Zar-Rak jolted, then dove. They plunged into the gas layers of Drythal, swirling through chemical lightning and pressure storms that would crush most vessels like paper. But they survived, bruised, shaken, but alive. Later, inside a quiet cave on an asteroid cloaked in radiation, Leah patched Zar-Rak's bio-armor, her hands steady even as tears traced grime on her cheeks. "I'm not leaving you," she whispered. The dragon opened one luminous eye. It blinked slowly, and for the first time since they met, it reached a thought into her mind. "You were not chosen by accident." Leah froze. "What?" "The spores, the bloom. They were not from your world." She swallowed. "Where then?" "From mine." The stars whispered again that night, louder now. And when she checked her neural tablet, a strange, pulsating glyph had appeared on the interface. Coordinates, not from any known chart. And one word beneath them: sanctuary. But as she plotted the course, a new alert blinked. Incoming transmission. "This is Captain Roan of the 7th Federation Corps. Stand down and surrender the weapon. You have nowhere left to run." Outside the asteroid cave, the sky was lighting up with ships. Leah clenched her jaw. "Then we don't run," she muttered. "We fly." The stars blurred around them as Zar-Rak surged into warp, breaching light speed like a spear through time. Leah gripped the inner harness inside its biocore chamber, eyes locked on the pulsing glyph etched onto her tablet screen. The coordinates, sanctuary, were calling them like a memory she never had, yet couldn't forget. Behind them, the Federation's warships swarmed like hornets. But Zar-Rak was older than war, older than them. He dove through gravitational folds and dark matter eddies like a predator of dimensions. But Leah knew they couldn't keep running. Not forever. They needed answers. And they needed to stop being prey. When they finally dropped out of warp, the silence was unnatural. No stars, no planets, just a void that seemed aware. Then, like a curtain tearing across space, the sanctuary revealed itself. It wasn't a planet. It was a construct, a megastructure larger than any moon, hidden inside a folded subspace pocket, wrapped in fractal geometry that made the human eye ache. Black spires rose from it like frozen flame, orbiting a core that shimmered with bioorganic life and ancient technology. Zarrak shuddered. He remembered. "This was your home," Leah whispered. "Ours," the voice echoed in her mind. "Before they destroyed it. Before they made me forget." They landed on the outer ring. The surface was silent, but alive. Veins of glowing light ran through the metallic floor, pulsing in rhythm with Leah's heartbeat. Then they came. Not enemies, not Federation, but beings like Zarrak, dragons of stardust and shadow. Sleeker, smaller, but clearly kin. They circled her in reverence, their minds brushing hers with awe. "She is the seated one," one murmured. "She bears the signal," another added. Leah's breath caught. The Empress's weapon hadn't chosen her. It had recognized her. She wasn't just a human girl with a strange bond. She was part of something much older, much deeper. Inside the central sanctum, they showed her the truth. A hollow bloom of light bloomed before her, stars forming, dying, rising again. Long ago, the dragons were protectors of the ancient void civilizations, symbiotic beings created to bond with seeded minds across galaxies. When war came, the dragons were hunted, corrupted. Zarrak was the last of the primal kind, captured by the Empress and twisted into a weapon. Until he felt her. Until something inside her sang the song of origin, a memory encoded in DNA. She wasn't fully human. She was the last carrier of a forgotten species, one meant to unify life and guide dragons back to their true purpose. But there was no time for awe. The Federation had tracked them. The sanctuary's veil began to crack as warships dropped in, led by the Empress herself. Her dreadnought a towering mass of wrath and machinery. She wanted Zarrak back, alive or dead. And now she wanted Leah too. Leah stepped outside the sanctum, wind rippling her coat as hundreds of void dragons gathered behind her, their wings unfurled like blades of night. The Empress's voice thundered across the comms. "You don't know what you carry, girl. Give him to me, and I might let you live." Leah didn't flinch. She touched Zarrak's side. He bowed, and then she spoke, voice calm and resonant. "I do know, and I'm done running." She raised the tablet. The sanctuary responded. Light surged upward. The dragons roared. The sky became fire. The battle was chaos incarnate. Federation weapons against awakened titans of the void. Leah stood in the eye of it, guiding, commanding, as if she'd done it in another life. Maybe she had. When it was over, the Federation fleet drifted in silence. The Empress was gone, and the sanctuary was alive again.